welcome to this week's episode of Coast News. And as always, got some amazing news from different theme parks, rides, attractions and events all over the world. So let's get straight into the news today. Our top story for tonight, Gold Rush has officially opened at Drayton Manor. And I'm so glad that this ride has finally opened to the public and become a reality. After Drayton Manor have gone so long without a brand new roller coaster, and it's so glad to see. I'm so glad to see that they finally invested into a brand new roller coaster, and it looks to be a really fun roller coaster as well, with perfect for families, with incredible theme as well. If you don't know what I'm talking about, basically Gold Rush is a brand new Intamin family lift and launch coaster that opened today at Drayton Manor in Staffordshire in England. It's also very innovative as well. I'd assume it's a world's first, or at least a first for Intamin anyway. Definitely a first for the UK as well, because it's very technologically advanced attraction. It's got two switch tracks, one at the base of the lift hill and one at the start of the launch, and this actually allows for I believe there's two different ride cycles on Gold Rush that depends on what time of the day you ride it. Like every ride cycle, I believe, is random. There's two ride cycles, and I believe they're randomized selections. So there's the first cycle where you go up down the pre-lift hill drop, up the lift hill as normal. You go through like the first half of the layout, and then you stop at the launch. You then proceed to launch backwards on this new part of the ride, which you can access thanks to the switch track at the start of the launch. And then that part of the ride goes up all through back towards the lift hill, and the switch track is used at the base of the lift hill, where the lift hill is now actually being used as a backwards vertical spike. And so then you go, not a vertical spike, just a backwards spike, and you go down the lift hill, back towards the launch, into the second launch and through the rest of the layout. And there's a second cycle, which then you just go up the lift hill, but then you stop and you actually roll backwards through the backwards section of the launch, and then you launch forwards. It's very innovative layout, and it looks so cool. As well as that, it looks to have some amazing theming as well. It's part of the Frontier Falls area, which is like sort of like a western sort of themed land, and it is the headline attraction of this brand new land. And overall, it looks like a really fun ride. It is a family coaster, but it's very heavily themed, and it's very technologically advanced experience, very unique as well. I'm so glad that this is opened at Drayton Manor. We'll definitely earn this ride, and hopefully Gold Rush will have a good operating service life for his next few years. In other news today, Phoenix Rising has officially opened at Busch Gardens Tampa. And I'm actually glad that B&M have started building this type of roller coaster again after all these years. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, basically Phoenix Rising is a brand new B&M family inverter coaster that opened at Busch Gardens Tampa in Florida in the United States. It is the park's second inverter coaster, the second B&M inverter coaster. It replaced the Sand Serpent ride, which was a Mack ride to Wildmouse that closed last year. I say second because Busch Gardens' other in B&M invert was Montu, which is more of a traditional B&M inverter coaster that's more of an extreme layout with inversions and high G-forces, whereas this is more of a family coaster. And family inverter coasters from B&M are quite rare. They've been in production since 2014, and up until Phoenix Rising opened, there had only ever been two family inverter coasters. They're both in China, and they're both called Family Inverter Coaster. Such original naming, though. Like, and they're not in the same park. I believe they're in different parks in China, but they're both in China, and they're both called Family Inverter Coasters. The first one opened in 2014, and the other one opened in 2018. So it's been 6 years since the most recent Family Inverter Coaster, up until this Sunday when Phoenix Rising opened in Busch Gardens Tampa. So that is the newest one, and technically it's the first B&M inverter coaster since Monster at Gröna in Sweden, which opened back in 2021. Now I know that this is not a traditional B&M inverter, it's more of a family coaster, but it's sort of a good addition to the park's lineup. And even though it's more family coaster, I'd say it's probably more like a thrill coaster because it's 80 feet tall. It goes 44 miles an hour. And it does have a lap bar. It's not like it's because on these other family inverted coasters they have lap bars as opposed to just shoulder restraints. So that's really good because it means you feel more free on the attraction. And it looks like to have some really cool and quirky elements on there as well. And hopefully this is a sign of like what B&M could do with their future roller coasters for their products for their clients like other parks. Because B&M have definitely been more innovative with their already existing attractions. They've started doing not only launched wing coasters again, but they also did shuttle wing coasters last year with Manual Mayhem at Chessington. They're now doing family inverter coasters again. They're doing family launch coasters with like the Penguin Trek at SeaWorld Orlando. And hopefully Phoenix Rising is just the start of things to come for B&M. Also in the news today, and this is some very sad and also very unusual news as well, coming from Alton Towers. Wicker Man part of the ride seems to have caught fire earlier today, and it's going to be, this is so strange. Like, we don't really know much about what has happened to the ride, but there are photos on, like, if you don't know what I'm talking about, basically Wicker Man is a GCI wooden roller coaster that opened at Alton Towers back in 2018. It is technically their most recent roller coaster, unless you count Nemesis Reborn, but then again, Nemesis Reborn is technically not a new roller coaster because it's still got some of its original track. So Wicker Man was their most recent brand new coaster. And it was the first wooden coaster to open at Alton Towers ever, after many other planned wooden coasters went through the planning process and ultimately got scrapped. This was their first one they actually built that actually opened to the public. And it is a family coaster, but it's got like, its main draw is like the heavy theming of like the massive Wicker Man statue in the centre of the ride, which has the cool flame effects. Now, bearing in mind when they were designing the original ride and how they would do those fire effects, they designed it with absolute safety in mind. They designed it so that nobody could get near those flames. Like the actual Wicker Man statue is not even made of wood, it's made of concrete and metal. So it's not flammable, and it's nowhere near anything that could be flammable. It's not near any people, it's not near the structure of the ride. So it was designed with perfect safety in mind, and nothing like this has actually happened for the past 6 years of Wicker Man's operation. And then today, Alton Towers announced it will be closed for the rest of today and tomorrow. We don't know when it's going to reopen, but there are pictures online saying that Wicker Man caught fire on the turn section of the ride just before it goes through the tunnel, the Wicker Man statue the second time. Now we don't know how this happened or why it's happened or how bad the damage is. I mean, it looks like it was only just sort of exclusively on that part of the attraction. It doesn't look like it will have spread anything else. Apparently there was seen like fire extinguishers, so they may have put the fire out already. I'm pretty sure they have, but the whole Wicker Man area is closed off. Not just the ride, but that whole plaza area is closed off for an indefinite period of time. Now, we don't know why this has happened, and we can't really confirm anything just yet, but we're just waiting for Alton Towers to come out with an official statement on what's happened with the ride. And it is quite sad, because it means we won't get to ride Wicker Man for a good couple of days now, but it's for the safety of the visitors, I suppose, and I can't wait to see Wicker Man actually reopen following this strange incident. And finally in the news today, Thorpe Park have confirmed their Fright Nights maze lineup for this year's Fright Nights. And we are now starting to get into the sort of the season where theme parks start to announce their more details on their annual Halloween event. They're starting to tease, starting to do the marketing for it, and it won't be long until the official lineup is fully announced soon. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, basically Fright Nights is an annual Halloween event that is held at Thorpe Park. It's been held there every year since 2002, and it has become very, very popular, a very popular event at the park. It's become one of the best Halloween events in the UK, and it just looks absolutely awesome. They keep delivering on the actual attractions every single year. Like, they put so much into it. and it just is so well renowned for being such an amazing Halloween event, and this year looks to be no exception. Now, we don't really know much about this year's lineup. They haven't started announcing what we can expect this year. Well, they haven't started fully announcing it anyway. They've mainly sort of teased, like, they've released like one teaser video so far that basically just shows like how you get to ride Hyperia in the dark. So obviously Hyperia being their big new attraction for this year. They want to put that into the marketing as well, with the slogan of "From epic new heights to petrifying new lows." So we don't know much about the actual lineup itself yet, but what we do know is that Thorpe Park actually started releasing tickets for their scare mazes this year. They've released, I think, 2 packages. The tickets that you can buy for the 3 scare mazes and also the 4 scare mazes. So they confirmed there's going to be 4 scare mazes this year, and they've actually confirmed that it'll be the 3 returning mazes from last year. So Trailers, Survival Games, and Stitches, all returning this year, as well as 1 brand new scare maze. Now, we don't know what this new maze is going to be, but the park said they're going to announce details soon. But that confirms part of the lineup of this year's Fright Nights. Now, we know that Scare Zones are going to be returning, and I'd imagine Crows and Walking Meadow could return. Lucifer's Lair from last year definitely, most likely will return, because that looks to be pretty successful from last year's lineup. I don't know what else could possibly be returning. Well, I assume Creature Campus could possibly return this year. Maybe obviously some new Scare Zones. But we do know the sort of the maze lineup for this year. We know that the 3 mazes from last year are returning. We're getting 1 new maze. We don't know where it could be, but either way, I cannot wait to see what Thorpe Park's Fright Nights lineup is going to be later this year. So that is it for this week's episode of Coast News. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you did, then please make sure to like and subscribe, and come out where we'd like to see you in the next video. Goodbye.